Okay, period giants. I decided to do an updated fiction analysis scoring rubric because y'all wasn't using the other ones, and I felt like the other video, I talked a lot, but I felt like y'all just wasn't using it, and so I decided to like restructure it so that it can look more color coded, and so that I can help you all a little bit better understand how you'll be graded on the analysis essay. So if y'all remember, it used to look like this. This is what teachers use when we are scoring y'all's essays, all of these words, right? Well, not that at the bottom, I added that, but all of these words, that's what the teachers have to use when we're scoring your essays. But this is what y'all are gonna do, a student-friendly version that I created so that you all can use it while you're writing your essay, so you don't have to wonder what you need in order to do well. All right, so fiction analysis scoring rubric. There is 6 points that you can get total. On you guys' common assessment, there were a lot of people that were scoring 3s, 2s, and 3s, and I want to make sure that you all are able to score those 4, 5s, and 6s on this essay so that you all are prepared for the Unit 2 exam and that you all do well on it. So your thesis, we all know, is the most important part of your essay. However, you only get 1 point for your thesis. I know it sounds strange that you're only getting 1 point for the thesis, but basically when I say it's the most important part of the essay, that means that you can't do the rest of the essay without the thesis. So you need the thesis. Make sure you got your thesis, okay? So here's how you have your thesis. You need to respond to the prompt with a thesis that presents a defensible interpretation of the passage. So that means that you need to be able to basically explain and prove what the passage prompt is asking of you. And we'll get to a little bit more about that later. By defensible, where it says 0 points, there is no defensible thesis. Defensible means that you can argue it with evidence. So that means you don't have a thesis that you can argue with evidence. You don't have something that you can back up with evidence from the text. So you want to make sure that you have a defensible interpretation of the passage, meaning you can back it up with text. And that's 1 point. Most of y'all got that 1 point last time, so we're going to move on. All right, evidence and commentary is 0 to 4 points. Our evidence and commentary is 0 to 4 points. Again, before, a lot of people were earning points. In this section, I only highlighted green because we want to make sure that we're getting those 3s and 4s. This is what a lot of people were missing with their evidence and commentary. They did not explain how multiple literary elements or techniques in the passage contribute to its meaning. So you all were having theses and you were having evidence, but you didn't explain multiple literary elements, meaning you didn't talk about dialogue, you didn't talk about plot, you didn't talk about imagery, you didn't talk about the different literary elements that you found in the passage. In order to get this number 4, you have to have like stellar writing. You cannot have a number 4 in this section if you have a lot of grammatical or mechanical errors. So you need to make sure that you are proofreading your essay before you turn it in so that you can get those 4 points. And then lastly, but not least, is the sophistication point. And a lot of people did not get this sophistication points because, again, of those grammatical errors. You want to make sure to get the sophistication point that you have a style that is consistently vivid and persuasive, meaning that you have a very strong argument and that you are using very persuasive writing. So that means that you're not using words like stuff and yeah, I think that Ralph was really cool, because you want to say Ralph had an interesting point of view when he said. You want to make sure you're using those like really high level academic terms, and you want to be able to very much persuade the reader to believe what you said in your thesis. And this is a sample prompt. And it says in the excerpt below from Lord of the Flies, the boys realize no one knows how to light a fire without matches, so they take Piggy's glasses to light it. After a short while, the fire goes out. Read the passage carefully. Then, in a well-written essay, analyze how the author uses literary elements to portray the complex situation the boys are in. All right, so you don't want to just say the author uses literary elements to portray complex situation the boys are in. You want to make sure that you introduce the author, you introduce the story. So in the excerpt from Lord of the Flies by William Golding, you want to make sure that you introduce what the story is in your thesis. So in the excerpt from Lord of the Flies, William Golding uses dialogue and imagery to portray the boys in a situation filled with uncertainty and fear. You want to make sure that you give me those literary elements in your thesis. So it's very easy for you to, in your body paragraphs, talk about dialogue in body paragraph 1, talk about imagery in paragraph number 2. So you don't have to specifically use these two literary elements. There are so many different literary elements out there that you can use, but these are just very simple and easy ones for you to use on your essays. Dialogue is always going to be in a fiction story. Imagery is normally going to be in a fiction story, so it's a little bit simpler to use these two. When all else fails, use dialogue and imagery. All right, so this is an example of a student who got a 1 for their thesis and only a 2 for evidence and commentary and a 0 for sophistication. So this person has a thesis. They say the author wrote the lesson in design to portray how Andy's motivation to be creative and different from everyone because he did not like the same basic outfit everyone wore. But this person is missing, what are they missing? Literary elements, right? So they're, for one, down here in their paragraph 1, says the author in lesson in design paragraph 2 shows how Andy is motivated to be creative and different from other people at his school. Where's the literary element that lets me know that he is motivated and creative? This shows me that Andy thinks basic outfits are not his style and wants something more flashy or stylish. Where are the literary elements? You want to make sure that you are using your literary elements to prove your evidence or to back up your evidence. And I'll show you an example of what that looks like. This person says, sometimes we strive to be better, more creative, and more unique with the expectations of praise from other people, but end up getting made fun of or feeling out of place. So that's their general statement. That's their hook to hook the reader in. In this excerpt, Andy notices everyone basically dresses the same and wanted to create something else. His father gave him a gift, and this led to Andy making his own clothes. He thought everybody would love it, but it did not turn out as planned. In this excerpt, the author uses specific details and dialogue to show that Andy's motivation for his creativity is his attention to detail and to keep persevering to have what he's made accepted. Okay, so the two literary devices this person chose were specific details and dialogue. Boom. So they're already like starting off on a good front, and this person ended up in their body paragraphs really honing in on that dialogue and those specific details to prove their evidence. All right, so now you're going to open up your essay, and it is the day 20 analysis essay number 3 inside of Schoology. You're going to open it up. All right, so now that you have your essay open, let's look at the prompt. It says, in the excerpt below from Lord of the Flies, Simon is having a vision in which he believes the sow's head has transformed into the Lord of the Flies and is talking to him. Let's remember that the sow's head, a sow is a pig. This is a pig, okay, a female pig. Read the passage carefully, then in a well-written essay, 4 paragraphs, analyze how the author uses literary elements to portray the complexity of human nature. Now, in your response, you should do the following. Respond to the prompt with a thesis that presents a defensible interpretation. Select and use evidence to support your line of reasoning. Explain how the evidence supports your line of reasoning, and then use appropriate grammar and punctuation in communicating your argument. So it is a couple of things that we need to like prioritize. Number one, we need to think about what is human nature. And basically, human nature is the way that humans are naturally going to behave in specific situations. What comes natural to us. All right, so the step one would be to pick 2 literary elements. And as you read, you're going to highlight your evidence in 2 different colors. So pick 2 literary elements that you feel confident using, and you're going to highlight those examples as you read the excerpt below in those 2 different colors. So that means every time I see dialogue, I need to be highlighting in yellow. If I chose dialogue. If I chose characterization, every time I see characterization, I need to be highlighting it blue. From Lord of the Flies by William Golding. You are a silly little boy, said the Lord of the Flies. Just an ignorant, silly little boy. Simon moved his swollen tongue but said nothing. Don't you agree? Said the Lord of the Flies. Aren't you just a silly little boy? Simon answered him in the same silent voice. Well then, said the Lord of the Flies, you'd better run off and play with the others. They think you're batty. You don't want Ralph to think you're batty, do you? You like Ralph a lot, don't you? And Piggy and Jack? Simon's head was tilted slightly up. His eyes could not break away, and the Lord of the Flies hung in space before him. What are you doing out here all alone? Aren't you afraid of me? Simon shook. There isn't anyone to help you, only me, and I'm the beast. Simon's mouth labored, brought forth audible words. Pig's head on a stick. Fancy thinking the beast was something you could hunt and kill, said the head. For a moment or two, the forest and all the other dimly appreciated places echoed with a parody of laughter. You knew, didn't you? I'm part of you. Close, close, close. I'm the reason why it's no go, why things are what they are. The laughter shivered again. Come now, said the Lord of the Flies. Get back to the others and we'll forget the whole thing. Simon's head wobbled. His eyes were half closed as though he were imitating the obscene thing on the stick. He knew that one of his times was coming on. The Lord of the Flies was expanding like a balloon. This is ridiculous. You know perfectly well you'll only meet me down there. So don't try to escape. Simon's body was arched and stiff. The Lord of the Flies spoke in the voice of a schoolmaster. This has gone quite far enough, my poor misguided child. Do you think you know better than I do? There was a pause. I'm warning you. I'm going to get angry. Do you see? You're not wanted. Understand? We are going to have fun on this island. Understand? We're going to have fun on this island. So don't try it on, my poor misguided boy, or else. Simon found he was looking into a vast mouth. There was blackness within, a blackness that spread. Or else, said the Lord of the Flies, we shall do you. See? Jack and Roger and Maurice and Robert and Bill and Piggy and Ralph, do you. See? Do you means kill you in this context. Simon was inside the mouth. He fell down and lost consciousness. At this time, go ahead and pause the screen and go back and finish highlighting your 2 different colors if you haven't done so already. And you want to make sure that you are doing this within the next 3 to 4 minutes. And then you want to get started on your actual essay. And here is your analysis essay map. Remember to use appropriate grammar, punctuation, and transition words to write your essay. And you will complete it here, and it is telling you exactly what you are going to type. So get started.